Most cruisers to the Caribbean face rising costs, overcrowding, and tourist traps. After decades of cruising, I've discovered 5 steps you can take to avoid the crowds, pay less, and have a better cruising experience. And step number 5 is the most important one. I'm Gary with Optimal Cruising, bringing you fresh cruise advice, money-saving hacks, and secret strategies the cruise lines don't advertise. The first cruise I ever went on was a 7-night cruise, and I got kind of lucky with making that decision because I know a lot of cruisers who try out their first cruise on a short cruise. They're just testing the waters. They do a 3 or a 4-day cruise, but they don't really get the full Caribbean cruise experience. The shorter cruises in the Caribbean tend to be more like an all-inclusive short-term party. You're not really getting a full Caribbean experience because you don't have long enough and you're probably only hitting the Bahamas and maybe only private islands or private beach clubs, so you're not really seeing the Caribbean as it is in its authentic way. If this is your first Caribbean cruise, or even if it's not, I highly recommend booking a 7-night or longer cruise. This is going to give you a much more in-depth experience. It's going to feel like a more relaxed vacation because you're not going to have just a 3-day party on the ship. And you need to think about what you want before you book because cruise lines and cruise ships come in all shapes and sizes. And one size does not fit all. Everybody has their own preferences. So for example, I have a son who's very active. He will do every single activity there is on the ship when we go on a cruise. For his taste, he loves the bigger ships with all the bells and whistles, but they tend to be a lot more crowded. And you end up waiting in lines a lot of time to do these things. He doesn't seem to mind, but I like a more relaxed feel. If those things are not what you're into, book a smaller cruise. It'll be a more relaxed vacation. There will be less to do, but for some people, having nothing to do is the whole point. When you book can make a huge difference as well. If you can do it, don't book during the summer months. Those are where you're going to face the biggest crowds, the most people are going to be in your way of what you want to do, and even at all the ports of call where you get off the ship, there's going to just be generally a lot more people there, and it's not going to be as fun or as easy to enjoy everything. The best months to book to avoid the crowds are September, February, April, and May. If you can't book during those months, you'll still have a great time, but it will be more crowded if you book in the summer. So I would recommend booking outside of the summer months and outside of specific holiday cruises. It also will cost you a lot less if you book during these months. This is when the ships are less crowded, there's less people cruising, and cruise lines are lowering prices considerably to attract more people to book, and they're also offering a lot of great deals and throwing things like packages in there. We actually keep an up-to-date list of the best cruise deals you can book right now. If you'd like a copy of that, just comment deals in the comment section and I'll email it to you. Remember, once you first step on that ship, you are a tourist, and the cruise lines set up a lot of traps to take your money. On embarkation day, they're going to hit you with upsells on all kinds of packages, from drink packages to dining packages, spa packages to photo packages. The truth is, a lot of times these packages aren't really worth it, but if you want any of them, buy them ahead of time when you book your cruise, or at least before you get on the cruise, because those same packages are offered at 30 to 40% off if booked ahead of time. Once you're on board, the trap is already set. Now, if you take this next step ahead of time, it will save you time and money on your cruise and help you avoid all the crowds. I've learned to do one thing before every cruise that I take, and that is to research my ports of call ahead of time. This always saves me a ton of money and helps me avoid all the tourist traps. So what I'll do is I'll see where I'm going, figure out what there is to do there so I know what I'm interested in doing, and then I have a plan that I can move forward with. A big mistake that many new cruisers make is that they just get on the ship without much of a plan and they end up spending a ton of money on the cruise line shore excursions, which are highly overpriced. Instead, if you know what you want to do ahead of time, you can book an excursion with an independent provider. I've got links with 2 great companies in my description below, Shore Excursions Group and Viator, and they both have shore excursions that are the exact same excursion you're going to get from a cruise line at about 40 to 50% off the price. You cannot go wrong with that. Now, this advice could make some people mad who say if you don't book your excursions with the cruise line, you could miss your ship. But that's just not the case. All of these providers who are professional, independent companies, their whole business is based on you not missing that ship. And they're not going to get you back even close to the time that the ship's leaving. They're going to get you back at least a couple hours before that. In fact, one of these companies in my description Shore Excursions group actually has their own back to ship guarantee, which is phenomenal. And then a lot of times I won't book an excursion at all, because if I do a little planning ahead of time and see that I can do something pretty easily on my own, like go to a beach club or get a day pass at a nearby hotel, or even walk a mile to a free beach, I'll do that. That puts a lot more money in my pocket. I'm also avoiding any of the tourist traps that are at the port and finding my own destination. And then a lot of these Caribbean ports have built up complexes right where the ship docks with water features like pools, lazy rivers. Some of them even have access to the ocean right there, which is absolutely free. So if you notice these on your itinerary, you might take advantage of that. While it might sound like a tourist trap, it's really not, because they don't charge you anything unless you buy drinks there or buy food there, which is not required. And that leads me to this next step, which ensures I have one full day with no crowds. Have you ever been on a 7-night cruise that you came back from and felt like you needed a vacation from your vacation? That's happened to me on more than one occasion. And that's why I always follow this step now. I always pick one port of call to stay on the ship. In fact, this turns that entire cruise ship into my own private yacht. Well, not exactly. There's other people on there. But if you follow the logic here, most people get off the ship at the ports of call. And that's what everybody else is doing. So at one port that maybe I'm not that interested in, or maybe I've been to before, I will stay on the ship. And I will enjoy everything the ship has to offer in peace and quiet for one day. I'll sit by the pool. I'll get into the pool without getting into a can of sardines. I'll be able to do the water slides without waiting forever in line. And then I'll just relax more because I'm not rushing to get here or there or make this appointment or that schedule. It's really a great idea over a 1-week cruise that you just pick one day and make that huge mega ship your own private yacht. If this is going to be your first cruise, you might be thinking, well, Gary, I don't want to miss any of the ports, and I get it. But I still recommend picking one port where there's nothing really special or unique that you want or need to do, and instead, go ahead and get off the ship. Get off the ship when they first start allowing people off and explore for an hour, and then get right back on. That'll be about the time everybody else is done with breakfast and getting off the ship, and you'll still have seen the port and get the ship to yourself for a day. I do things a little different when I cruise, but I do it for a reason, because I find that many cruise passengers seem like they're playing follow the leader. They're just all doing the same things at the same time, and that makes for overcrowding and a less enjoyable experience. In fact, that's one of the main reasons I always stay on the ship for one port day, because I feel like if I get away from the crowds, I'm going to enjoy that cruise a whole lot more. There are a lot of timing tricks you can use during your cruise to avoid the crowds and be more relaxed on your vacation. Maybe change your schedule slightly. If you are able to get up a little bit earlier, say before 8 o'clock, and have breakfast, you're going to find that those buffets, the restaurants, everything is a lot less crowded. Most cruisers are having breakfast sometime between 8 and 9:30. So if you beat that rush, you're going to enjoy it a lot more. If you like to have the pools and hot tubs a little more to yourself, maybe schedule dinner for a little bit later and start heading out to that pool deck around 5:30, when a lot of cruisers are starting to get ready for their dinner reservations or already at dinner. And you'll find that you can have these areas a lot more to yourself. If my ship is docking at a private island, I try to be one of the first people off the ship. As soon as they announce that the gangway is open, I'm there. Because while you might think everybody's rushing for it at that moment, it's not the case. Most people who realize they're going to be at a private island all day, they take it easy in the morning. And they start getting off between 8, 9, 10 o'clock to enjoy that island. If you get off ahead of them, you'll not only get pick of the best spot on the beach or whatever it is you want to do there, but you'll also enjoy it for a little while without that many people around. And this is another reason why I don't like to book cruise line shore excursions, because they tend to be crammed. They pack as many people onto those things as they can, and they're usually doing specific tours where you're going to be basically following the leader the entire time. Whereas if you plan your shore excursion on your own or you book with an independent provider, you're going to either be on your own or you're going to be with a much smaller group of people, which does make that excursion a whole lot more enjoyable. This last tip is going to make a lot of people mad, but before I get to it, if you've enjoyed this video so far, make sure you take a moment, subscribe to our channel, hit the like button. It does help us grow and continue to bring cruising videos to you. Step 5 is the most controversial, but it gives you the most control and allows you to direct where the money you're spending on your cruise actually goes and ensures that you'll have the best possible service for your entire cruise. What I do when I go on a cruise is I go to guest services and have the automatic gratuities removed from my account. Wait, don't click off yet. I'm not saying that you shouldn't tip. I'm saying that you should control your tip. I take the exact same amount of money in cash that I would be paying in automatic gratuities, and I hand that cash directly to the people who serve me, including my cabin steward, my wait staff, even sometimes some ancillary people that I see working in the hallways around me. Most times I'll even give a cash tip up front to my room steward or to a bartender that I like, because that ensures high quality service for the duration of my cruise, because it indicates to those people that I'll be tipping in cash. And trust me, crew members prefer to be tipped in cash rather than have that money go into some corporate pool. You'll get better service and you'll have peace of mind knowing that your tip money went to the right people. So now that you know 5 steps to a better Caribbean cruise, you might be wondering how to figure out if that drink package is really worth the money. I'll tell you how to do that right here.